are the Quest Coral Club, and we are here to talk to you today about some of the ecological hazards of eating shrimp.
Did you know that the World Wildlife Foundation says that humans consume over 5 million metric tons of shrimp each year? That is equivalent to the weight of 70 million people, or twice the population of Canada. The most common method for catching wild shrimp is through the use of nets called trawls. Trawling works by towing a net behind a boat. The net travels along the seabed floor, picking up all sorts of fish and shrimp. When trawling for shrimp, it is necessary to drag the net along the seabed floor. This is because shrimp live along the seabed floor. But shrimp are not the only things living there. Coral and many other species of marine wildlife live along the seabed floor. Because of this, trawling results in bycatch and damage to coral. Trawling often results in greater quantities of bycatch than shrimp itself. This means that for every 1 ton of shrimp caught, you are often getting more than 1 ton of bycatch. Often bycatch is just thrown away, but bycatch is dangerous for more reasons than just wastefulness. Bycatch often contains species that are high at risk, such as loggerback sea turtles. The quantity of bycatch of these species is large enough that it could cause extinction. Although there are devices designed to prevent the inclusion of large animals such as turtles, these devices are not in use in many parts of the world. Shrimp's preferred habitat is in areas with coral reefs. This means that trawling in areas where there are high density of shrimp also causes severe coral damage. Sometimes, damage to coral is extensive enough that large quantities of coral show up in the nets as bycatch. Using carbon dating, it has been shown that some of these corals are over 500 years old and will take a very long time to recover on their own. In addition to damaging the coral itself, by the removal of these coral reefs, we are removing habitat for other species. Some of these species only exist in areas where there are coral reefs. By trawling in these areas, we are potentially pushing these species towards extinction. Americans, in particular, love shrimp. Shrimp is the second most consumed fish product in the U.S., according to the EPA.
One of the major sources of shrimp production is shrimp farming, and it actually accounts for 1/3 of the global production of shrimp. Most of the countries being in Asia, particularly Thailand, who has been the world's largest shrimp producer since 1991. Despite the importance of shrimp to Thailand's economy, it is highly controversial due to its many ecological implications. Some of the most highlighted issues involved in shrimp farming include mangrove destruction, water and soil pollution, and disease outbreaks, all of which have severe consequences for the surrounding environment. So one may ask, how does shrimp farming work? Shrimp farming is the mass production of shrimp in large ponds for human consumption, beginning with shrimp hatcheries where the females lay their eggs and they are left to hatch in large tanks. After the larvae hatch and enter into a phase called post-larvae, they are transformed from the hatcheries into nursery ponds. They spend about 3 weeks here eating zooplankton and artificial feed until they reach adulthood. After they are large enough, they are transferred into grow-out ponds where they stay for about 3 to 6 months until they are large enough for sale. These ponds are huge and require a lot of land, which means destroying mangroves. Today, mangroves are one of the world's most threatened ecosystems and are becoming scarce in places they were once abundant. The areas in which mangroves grow are suitable for shrimp farming due to their stagnant and salty water, which is ideal for aquaculture. They are one of the primary features of coastal ecosystems and perform important ecological services such as protecting coastlines from sea erosion, tidal waves, and hurricanes, and providing breeding grounds and nutrients and shelter to other aquatic organisms. Their destruction means habitat loss to thousands of species, as many are abundant in wildlife. Although there are many factors that play into their disappearance, expansion of aquaculture ponds is the largest. Because these ponds are so big, they are able to foster a very high volume of shrimp, making it susceptible to disease outbreak. This can affect nearby ecosystems if the disease escapes, and also has huge economic loss for the farms when their entire stock is wiped out. The high volume of shrimp in these farms also requires the use of a large amount of artificial feed and chemical additives, which take a toll on the surrounding areas when it is discharged into nearby waters. When this occurs, there can be lethal effects on the organisms such as fish and upsets the balance of the ecosystem. In addition, the use of saltwater in inland farms causes soil salinization, which means there is an increased level of salt in the soil. Salinization induced by humans upsets the mineral balance of the soil and can affect the nearby aquatic functions. This permanently damages the soil so that the land cannot be used for other agricultural endeavors, such as rice farming. After an area's ecosystem goes out of balance and the fish catch declines, shrimp farms are usually abandoned after only 3 to 5 years, leaving behind a useless wasteland. So from mangrove destruction to disease outbreak and water and soil pollutions, shrimp farming has detrimental effects on the surrounding environment and is not sustainable.
Now that we have examined the implications of conventional shrimp aquaculture, we look into sustainable alternatives to conventional shrimp aquaculture. For a farming system to be considered sustainable, they should meet these 4 criteria. The first is that they have to maintain the integrity of affected ecosystems. The second is that there is an equitable balance with natural resources and resource users of affected coastal zones. The third is that it has to be structured to promote social and economic equity within and between nations, and it also has to be economically viable. One example of systems that satisfy these criteria are modern closed system production that recirculate pond waters and do not release waste into the ocean. These types of systems are more suited for economically more developed countries, as it is expensive to build the required large enclosed facilities and maintain them. Traditional aquaculture systems that have low yield and low impacts on the environment are more suited for economically less developed countries. China is the highest producer of shrimp in the world, and collectively, China, India, Thailand, and Malaysia account for 55% of the world shrimp catch. Low cost of production systems would also be more suited for these countries. In addition to alternative types of farming systems, different types of shrimp are more sustainable than others. 3 alternative shrimp recommended by the Seafood Watch program by the Monterey Bay Aquarium are pink shrimp, freshwater shrimps, and spot prawns. Pink shrimp are distributed mainly in the cold regions of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. They are not considered to be overfished due to large population numbers, as they produce many young. They are typically caught by trawling nets with bycatch reduction devices. Bycatch reduction devices reduce bycatch levels. They are devices inserted in trawling nets to allow unwanted species to escape. This is done by mechanical or physical exclusion, which is blocking the passage of bycatch and guiding it towards an opening. This increases the amount of shrimp caught per haul. Sorting time is shortened, and net damage from large animals is also reduced. Freshwater shrimp farmed in the US are mostly resistant to disease, so there is no need for antibiotics. They are farmed in pond systems or fully recirculating systems. This is where pond water is treated and reused, and it doesn't release effluent into sensitive ocean habitats. This reduces pollution and disease that can impact wild marine populations. The fish are enclosed in a coastal or inland body of water. Spot prawns are the largest of 7 commercial species of shrimp found in Canada's west coast waters. They have healthy and abundant populations, and they are typically caught in traps. Traps or pods have low bycatch and low habitat impacts. They are usually submerged wire or wood cages. Shrimp is attracted by bait, and the traps hold the shrimp alive until the fishermen haul in the catch. Sustainable types of shrimp farming reduces mangrove loss. This leads to more protection of coastlines from storms, which leads to less damage to property. The biodiversity of marine wildlife also improves. Less intensive farming of shrimp also promotes less antibiotics used, which leads to healthier shrimp. There is also less water pollution brought about by open farming systems, which leads to cleaner rivers and seas.
Thank you for watching our video. We hope that we have convinced you that trawling and fish farming in their current states are not sustainable behaviors. Be a responsible consumer and make sure you know what shrimp you're buying.